Okay, so imagine the Arabs are saying to Jewish Arabs, we're getting more and more African immigrants in Cairo, and the mixed race Arabs who are partially African are coming up into Arab Caucasian territory. And we want to bring in more Caucasians who are more resourceful and more prosperous and more influential to help make an obstruction so that the mixed race African Arabs can't just move northward from Cairo into uh, uh, Arab nations and into Turkey and into Europe. So then they start Zionism with a racial purpose, but they have a religious charter. And then um, Africans who are consider themselves to be Jewish, whether they really believe it or not, some of them might actually be Jewish, Ethiopian Jewish, um, they say, well, we're Jews too, and so let's go to Israel. And then the Israelis start saying, do you really have a Jewish heritage in your family? Do you really have religiously Jewish people that you can confirm are Jewish? And maybe the Ethiopians can't always come up with enough evidence. And then there's uh, a tendency to want to say, well, you're not really Jewish, so let's send you back to Ethiopia. And then the reply to that would be, well, Israel wasn't really a religious project to begin with. It was said to be with a religious charter, but then what they had in mind was to make an obstruction um, of white Jewish settlers to obstruct the migration of Africanized, mixed race African Arabs who are moving northward. So the PLO was a specifically nationalist and implicitly racial organization of Arabs, and the PLO would have been theoretically more effective at stopping mixed race African Arabs from moving north into Arab territory. So that would be completely humorless to say the religious charter of Israel has become a weakness for the Caucasians to prevent African encroachment, the gradual encroachment of partially African people into Caucasian territory. The religious charter of Israel has become an enabler instead of an obstacle. So anyway, that's some people like to have religion as a bridge between different nationalities, different races. So, well, I think this maybe the southern part of Israel should be under PLO control. That would be Ashdod, Sderot, and Ashkelon and the Red Sea port. And the PLO would be in control of that part of Israel because the PLO can say, we are Arabs and we are not as African, we are not so African as a certain percentage of the Cairo Egyptians who've been mixing with immigrants from south of the Sahara who went to Cairo. And so the Palestine Liberation Organization could say, we're an Arab organization and we are holding this territory for Arabic people, and you can't have much more than of an African fraction than you can't have too much of an African fraction if you have recent African heritage, recent African immigrant heritage. That's a lot different from Anwar Sadat. That's a lot different from a straight-haired Somali who has very dark complexion, but they don't have obvious African heritage. So anyway, the PLO could hypothetically take control of southern Israel, Sderot, Ashkelon, Ashdod, and the Red Sea port if they had enough support from Arabs and they had Caucasian Arab settlers willing to hold the territory. Now, white Jewish people who are really serious about being religiously Jewish, they need to have religious racial integration on the grounds of religion. And so they have to be, the Jewish people have to stop condemning the colonization of the ports on the coasts of Africa. So the Jewish people have to stop saying that the French and the English and the Spanish and the Dutch were all wrong for going to South Africa, or the Jewish people have to stop saying that white people had no place uh, and no legitimate reason to settle on the coasts of Africa. Because if you're going to put religion, if you're going to be an Israeli who's having a religious charter as the foundation of your nation, um, you have to value that religion, and that means that you can't condemn white colonizers on the coasts of Africa, who the white colonizers were considering themselves to be Christian mostly. Well, anyway, so Jewish people can try to be more consistent, and the Jewish people can say, we want to colonize a district in Cairo where it will be Jewish people integrating racially with the partially African Arabs, and Jewish people have to really commit themselves to that, the sincerity of the practice of their religion as a bridge to integrate with different races and to intermarry with different races. So if they are like atheistic sort of Jews from Northern or Eastern Europe, those particular Jews, if they arrived in Israel with a racial purpose of trying to stop the influx or the mass migration of Africans, partially African Arabs going north, well, the religious charter is not the way to do that. So they should go back to Europe. And if they're not serious about their Jewish religion, they should go back to Europe. But if they are serious about their Jewish religion, then they really have to look past race. And then that's not to say that it's wrong to racially oppose mass migration, but that's the job of the PLO, not a religious charter organization such as Israel. All right, that's all.